On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Brother, 1 second. I know Crimson was trying to go. Go ahead, Crimson, and then we'll come to you.
I'm sorry. It's interesting to hear Anton and then hear Ameera, because you're hearing really the masculine and then the feminine, because Anton is like, well, you know, from a guy's point of view, she should be cool, right? Like, I'm taking care of stuff. She's comfortable. You know, I made things. Oh, she should be content. But the post isn't talking about that. The post is talking about a woman's interpretation or the fantasy of what she thinks a marriage is going to be. And we know that if we're going to talk about that from a woman's point of view, that's going to be emotional. And that's not going to be based on quantitative things like the money that's being earned or the good neighborhood that she ends up living in due to her husband's work and these sorts of things.
Again, make sure you guys get them likes up. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Move on to my next topic. I always got that bonus in. It's going to kind of transition into our next topic with you guys. All right, well, I'm going to put this up there real quick. Here we go. My friend says she's thinking about leaving her husband. I showed her my DMs and what it looks like out here. She booked a therapist 2 hours ago. Laughing. Somebody help me understand why it's always the woman who wants to leave. Because generally, before marriage, women believe marriage will be better than it actually is. And men believe it will be worse. So with time, women grow disappointed in their lives while men grow. Let me take this off. While men grow more content. Let's talk about that real quick. Bonus topic. Who wants to go first?
So wait a minute. She's saying that her friend showed her DMs, and so nobody necessarily did anything wrong. Is
right.
I think she was showing her DMs to show like the climate of dating nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I got you. All right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then basically, you know, she said because generally before marriage, women believe marriage will be better than it actually is, and men believe it will be worse. So with time, women grow disappointment in their lives, while men grow more content.
I think that's the absolute opposite. I think that marriage wind up being better for women as a result, and I think it's the flip side for that. Men, and it is very much reflected in the sexual marketplace. Right. And that the value of men continue to go up as they mature. Their peak earning time doesn't even really hit until their 60s, sometimes their early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. And men generally have more options, but women file for divorce more often. So, you know, ideally, if you really take it into consideration, the fact that in majority of households, men are the ones that earn the most money. Often at times women, even in today's time, considering the fact that equality has very much caught up, in which women can go out and get whatever job that they want. They're the most educated, they're the most enrolled, they're the most in college. I just did a show earlier this morning that showcased that during the pandemic, the majority of men, right, because the enrollment within college has gone down significantly. And over 70% of those that have no longer chose to enroll in college were men. And there's even a 1 million application gap for the women versus men applying to college. They are the most educated. They have the most opportunities, more than they ever had in their life, yet and still men earn more. And often at times when you look at these households, especially when kids are involved, women have the opportunity to get comfortable and become mothers and take time off and all of this other type of stuff. And there is a significant amount of people in households, women that are not working and they are being taken care of. So marriage is often at times overwhelmingly much better for women, which leads to them being more content within their households and their situations. And yet, and still, you find at times that the majority of the divorces are filed by women, and then take on top of that the fact that it's often as a result of money. and men are the ones that hold it down. So I think it's the complete opposite of what the picture that's being portrayed in that screenshot.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I do think it is what the original post said, simply because me, even as a woman, I have to admit that I had all these dreams about like when I'm married, what it's going to be and how my husband was going to treat me year after year and how things were just going to progress and he's going to get even more romantic because he's even more in love with me because he knows me more. It doesn't work out that way. It turns out like everything starts off really good. And then once you get married, you have this phase where it's like, you know how it is, Anton, you've been through it, you too, Rila. It's like beautiful. And then after that, it just turns into routine. And women, we don't like routine. We like things to be fresh and I want to get surprised and all this. And men, especially if you have a man who works a lot, who's a high value man, he doesn't have time to keep you entertained. So in my case, like I thought it was going to be a lot different, but it turns out to be routine.
So let me ask you a question, Ameera. Because you're saying content when it comes to romance and love, right? But contentment with regard to being financially secure.
The original post was not about finances, was it? It was about romance.
It wasn't about anything specifically.
She said that she showed her DMs and talked about like how, yeah.
She never said love. She never said finances, anything. So it's really left up to interpretation based off of whatever it is that we see contentment as being. You see content from a woman's perspective, right? And that you're looking at it from a love and a romance perspective. I'm seeing content as that, and that it's not like a lot of women, once they get married, are overly geared towards working even harder with their career. They get more relaxed in their ability to be able to, chill as a result of having this other man that's providing in the household along with them.
That's true. That's true. But in the post, I think the woman was talking about romance, but you're right. It's left open to interpretation. Yeah.
No, I would agree with that.
Hold on, brother. 1 second. I know Crimson was trying to go. Go ahead, Crimson, and then we'll come to you.
I'm sorry. It's interesting to hear Anton and then hear Ameera, because you're hearing really the masculine and then the feminine, because Anton is like, well, from a guy's point of view, she should be cool, right? Like, I'm taking care of stuff. She's comfortable. I made things so she should be content. But the post isn't talking about that. The post is talking about a woman's interpretation or the fantasy of what she thinks a marriage is going to be. And we know that if we're going to talk about that from a woman's point of view, that's going to be emotional. And that's not going to be based on quantitative things like the money that's being earned or the good neighborhood that she ends up living in due to her husband's work and these sorts of things.